This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. I have a special guest tonight. This is going to be a great show. We're going to have a good time, a great show, and we'll be fielding your questions also. First, I want to introduce my special guest tonight. You might have seen him around town if you drive around McAllen, and if not, and if you're from a different place, well then enjoy the show tonight because we have some perhaps new ideas that you might like. Mr. Gary Groves, ladies and gentlemen. Gary, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here today.
So I'm a proud MAGA Republican candidate running for State House of Representatives, District 41. So I'm in a runoff, and the dates are May 18th to the 22nd, and also May 26th is Election Day. So I'm on the campaign trail, and I'm honored to do your show, and so people can hear my views on things, and so I'm just grateful to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Gary. So to give you, I guess, a roundabout of what our audience is usually made of, it's made of people like myself who are conservative. I'm conservative, right? I will definitely tolerate someone else's views. I'm not anyone that won't speak to anyone because of their political views. Unfortunately, there's not enough of that around today, but I have no problem with that. And my, watchers, listeners usually are of the same mind. Sometimes we will disagree, and that's fine. But what I would like to know is what are the things that got you moving politically, that you said, you know what, I think I can make a change, or I think I can do better than that guy. What inspired you?
So I got involved very much with the Trump trains. I am a Republican conservative, but I think the thing that inspired me with Trump was doing things for the American people.
Okay.
And that was like, his main point is we need to do things for the American people. We started seeing government where we were told, like with the Healthcare Act, the Obamacare,
right,
where you have to read the bill, you have to find out afterwards what's and I remember a time when bills would get debated in front of the American people between the two parties, and you would move forward, and the people would be polled, and you would kind of find a process that was best for the American people.
right.
But we lost that somewhere.
We sure did.
Yeah, and so here comes Trump taking on the establishment that had kind of lost that. There's tremendous amounts of money in politics now in lobbying, and nobody was lobbying for the American people until Donald Trump came along and said, somebody's got to do things for the American people. And that's what when he started labeling the swamp, they didn't care about the American people,
Right.
and they'd lost that. And so I love that, and the MAGA movement. And so I'm a proud, when I say MAGA Republican, I'm a Republican, but very much MAGA, wanting to do things for the American people, and running for the State House of Representatives in Texas. That I translate that into doing things for the people of this county and of this state, and fixing things for them. We have lots of problems that, I think the affordability for people, I think we all feel it. One of the things we talked about was property taxes. They're out of control, and they need to be fixed. What's been happening, they call it like, I guess it's hard to say what they call it, but giving homestead exemptions, but then they take it away with the appraisal.
Absolutely. They package it into their appraisal, right?
Yes. Yeah. So and I remember going to protest my taxes, and I was in there, and I'm like showing them all the things why my appraisal shouldn't go up, and they really can't, and they didn't have anything to say about that, like why they should raise it. But at the end of the day, they just said, well, you're not going to be paying anymore. But I said, but I'm supposed to be paying less because you gave me this homestead exemption. And they're like, yeah, but you won't be paying more. So it was pretty obvious what they were doing, raising my appraisal to
Right.
take away that exemption.
Right.
And that's what they've been doing. And it's a waste of the state's surplus because they've been using the surplus to buy down, give us the homestead exemptions, and it just gets taken away by the appraisers. So one of the things I'm for is electing the appraisers so that they're accountable to us. Right now, they're appointed, most of them, by the
Right.
taxing authorities, so that's who they listen to. We do have a couple that are elected, but not the majority of them. So they should be elected, all of them. So
That's a good idea, sir.
Yes.
I think that is a good idea. But I would like to ask, so you touched on the surplus. Could you dig into that a little bit? So is that what you would suggest can take the place of our property taxes?
So it can't take the price of all of the property taxes.
Okay.
It can take off the governor, talk to the comptroller with $11 billion of the surplus, which I think we have a $24 billion surplus. $11 billion, he can take the school taxes off of our properties in Texas, off of our homes. So it's not going to apply to the commercial properties. It'll apply to our homes.
Right.
So that'll be gone. And then there still would be a surplus left. And so my proposal after that to get more taxes off our property, I think first you get the school tax part off. And I don't think you just want to get the taxes off of our properties, the school taxes, giving relief by that alone. You want to look into the cost of things. For instance, you could have like an area supervisor instead of a bunch of, supervisors of different, schools. You can have one for the area.
The district.
Yeah, so you want to control costs too. You just don't want to, I think as conservatives, we want to control costs, make sure things are running efficiently. And so that's a combination of things. So you take the property school taxes off with the surplus, control costs, and then you come back a year or two later, see how that's working, come back after that, and then you look at the remaining surplus, and maybe you do a small consumption tax of some sort that works, and take more off.
Right.
So and give real relief to the homeowners. I mean, it's like, I think fundamentally there shouldn't be taxes on our homes.
I agree. And to, I guess, elaborate on my point, the reason why I agree with you on that is that it seems to me very un-American that we will never own our homes.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? You can pay your mortgage off, right? And what is a mortgage? Mortgage. It's, I guess the term was French. It's an engagement with death. Mort meaning death, right? So the way they structured it, banks, okay, I believe them. And please, everyone watch my opinions. Mr. Grove, I'm not bringing him into my jackpot. I'm just saying that this is the way I believe. I believe property taxes to be un-American because we have seniors out there that have paid more in taxes than they ever paid for their home or the land surrounding it. And that to me is criminal.
And also you have young people, they apply for a loan. I mean, this home ownership is the American dream. Right? And home be and home part of their budget.
Right.
So it's not right. I mean, your home, the American dream is so important, owning that asset, but also the affordability of it. If you keep raising the appraisals and raising the taxes on people, that's their main asset, and and also I feel like it's a captive audience for the taxing people, right? Because it's your home.
Where do we go? There's no place to go.
That's right. Yeah. And they know that. And so, fundamentally, I totally agree with you. Get it off our homes and do as much as we can. The other thing I would suggest is, I think limiting a small amount.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that forces the people who are spending the money that take that money to limit the amount of money that they're going to
We
spend.
would hope.
Yes. Well, if they can't get as much, yes. The other part, that we have to look into on that, and I guess that's another topic, would be debt. And
Yes.
and so there, I mean, honestly, it's like if you take the valley, um, there's a lot of competition amongst the towns when you could have cooperation and lower costs.
Agreed.
So being a conservative, lowering costs is so important, and
Couldn't
working,
agree more.
yes, yeah. So, I mean, so that's like with the school taxes. I think we've gone over that pretty much.
Right. So
And so another thing I think is the franchise tax. It's a tax which is very complicated, um, and I believe I read that if you get rid of it, it doesn't raise that much money for the state. Um, and if you get rid of it, it would create about 47,000 jobs.
please explain, what is the franchise tax?
So it's a tax where I guess you look at your inventories and your business, and you pay a tax to the state on it. I mean, and it's like they're trying to reduce the amount by saying, okay, they're limiting it to so much, like 2.4 million or whatever. They're trying to, like, make it less onerous, but it's very onerous for business to have to go through that process.
Right.
And it doesn't raise, it's really kind of a business state income tax. And if you get rid of it, you'll get more businesses coming into the state, creating more jobs. And that's
Right.
another thing. I am so pro business, um, that you getting rid of that will create more jobs for the state.
And just to be, I know you all, everybody who's watching this show, 99%, unless you bumped into it on Facebook, 99% know very well that we are about people being able to afford the things they have. But when we're talking about taxes and things like that, we have to remember that everyone pays them. Meaning, if you raise a business tax, where do you think the end result of that tax will be? It'll be in the price of the goods and services that you and I pay. So we literally pay business tax. We pay corporate taxes. Corporations don't pay taxes, okay? People pay taxes, because in the long run, in the end, and you know which end that's going, in the end, we get it. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I believe what you're saying, Mr. Groves, is exactly what we need. We need to look at the expenses. We need to look at what taxes we're paying, and how do we reduce all that. And I like the idea where you say we have such like a district supervisor of something, and I think it was the school system you were talking about. I have nothing against, just because we have teachers out there, I have nothing against teachers. I have things against bureaucracy, and the educational system is rife with bureaucracy, ladies and gentlemen. And I will tell you that there are some school administrators, if you will, that have hefty salaries, and like you say,
Unbelievable salaries.
and they are spread out. And you know what that tells me? And I'm not, again, trying to bring you into the jackpot. This is what that tells me. It tells me that they're incentivizing them not to change the system.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, so being conservative, like I talked about the property taxes, lower taxes, but you also have to control spending, and so that's so important, and that's a huge part of the equation. And so yeah, and you said a prayer at the beginning of this, and I'm a Christian, and I think part of that is I feel more like it should be about people helping people, not always, government, dependency.
Right.
And I just love the idea more of churches and people doing things for each other.
Right.
I think like we have, like, the nanny state, and we get away from the Christianity and people helping each other.
Absolutely.
And we need to get back to that. And
couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I read an article, I don't know how true it was. They quoted the man. He's in some sort of government job in Canada, and he said something to the effect of that children are not the responsibility or not the property of the parents. And it's it's very telling to look at Canada if you want to know where we're going. If we follow the road to California, New York,
we're
Illinois,
not going there under my watch. Okay, that's
good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, yes,
because if we do not resist, well, there go we.
Yeah, yes, and I think we're kind of at those crossroads, and I feel like there's more people like us out there, and we're making our voices heard. They called us the silent majority, and I think that's part of MAGA is we're not being silent anymore. We're speaking up. That's why I wear my red hat. I'm
Right.
running as a MAGA Republican.
You're not hiding it.
No,
You're
I'm not
making any
hiding
bones
it.
about it.
That's
You're
right.
not
That's
shying
right.
away.
That's right. That's who I am. And if we're going to move this movement forward, we have to be who we are.
Absolutely.
So
Barry's there. Barry, Eli, and Tammy. Nice to see you all. Glad to see you're watching. And Barry backs us up with your statement on it starts in the community, says Barry. It starts in the community. And to my view, and I'm not pulling you into my opinions. I'm just saying that community things ought to be dealt with in the community. If we want state help, well, maybe if we have to, we solicit it or we in some way apply for it. Okay, but to have, like your term was, and this good one, nanny state, imposing its will upon us in the community, that's not the way this country was built. That's not the way we will ever succeed, because who cares more about the Rio Grande Valley than those of us who live here, right? So we can't expect someone in Austin, and that my term, again, this is mine, this is not Gary's, my term for Austin is Austinistan, okay? Because sometimes I do believe it's lost, okay? So we don't want Austin determining the valley's politics or the valley's status quo. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, this is a conservative area, and it's a very Christian area, and it's a very patriotic area.
Very much so.
And so I align with those values. And yes, I mean, the more we can, have our Christian values and fellowship being part of our life here, and not being part of the nanny state. I mean, there is that battle, right? I mean, you see
It's a
it, and
struggle
it could
all
be
the
in this race that could happen. I mean,
Right.
we have some people that are going to push the nanny state,
Right.
and so I'll be pushing back against that.
Excellent.
Yeah, and one of the things I love going out and knocking doors. That's how I met Joe. I meet wonderful people, so many Christians, and I have people praying over me as I'm out there.
Awesome.
It is wonderful. It's such I love it, and so I think that kind of spirit of what we're just talking about Christian fellowship and being part of our government. That's how it should be, up in Austin, and to where, I am here to serve, and I'm not, I'm for term limits. I learn from the people out there. I want to go up there and make a difference and make the people's lives better here. That's all I want to do.
Right.
And I don't have any big political aspirations, but and I know there's other people up there that feel the same way. And and then there's others that don't, and
Okay.
that's the battle.
Let me ask you this, and I've said this on my show, and I'll be transparent here. I am not what I would call myself or identify myself as a Republican, and this is why. When you mentioned the swamp earlier, I agree with you. But here's, and I believe a lot of people are thinking this way, Gary. I really do. I blame Republicans more than I blame Democrats. And here's why. And I'm not talking about Valley Democrats, because like you said, we are rather conservative here. Now, the Democrats are who they are, and they make no bones about it. I personally, not you, I personally, I call them by the press. I see that, and I understand what you want. And in my mind, it's the destruction of the country as we know it. I blame the Republicans because they pretend to protect the Constitution and they pretend to protect the American way. But when we see certain bills get passed by the help of 6 or 8 or 10 Republicans, that rarely happens on the other side. So my question to you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but my question to you is, as a Republican, will you fight for the American way regardless of the way things in Washington might, or in this case,
No,
in
I
might go?
agree totally with you. I mean, it's a huge frustration. I mean, look at President Trump right now with the SAVE Act. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right?
Thank you.
No-brainer.
Who do we have? Thune is blocking it, right?
Blocking it, and it's terrible. And so, I think how I see this is that you have these political machines, they're very entrenched, and you may have a Republican, but that person's not really Republican.
Right.
They're a Democrat, but
Right.
they get elected through these machines, and then we see it. And so I would say to the voters, it's up to you to figure this out. I'm a proud Republican. I'm wearing this hat. This is the real deal. And I don't want to say anything negative about people, but I'm in the race because I feel strongly that you need a Republican in there as a Republican. And that's what I stand for. And so, yes, and we do have good Republicans, but there's always this 6 or 7 or 8 who are not really Republicans. They're more than likely Democrats. And they maybe live in a district where the Republicans are going to win, so they cross over and run as a Republican.
Right.
And we actually have that here, where you may have people
sure.
that are, conservatives or whatever. They feel like they can't get elected, so they go into the Democrat Party because they care more about office than they do about principles.
Right.
And I care more about principles than I do about office.
I get
So
you.
yeah, and that's important. And the voters, you need to really pay attention, because if you make a mistake, we all pay for it. And you want to elect principled people, and it's not easy because you can get fooled by these machines. But especially, they can manipulate the media, and they're good at it.
Right.
I mean, that's some of these races, I would say some of the people care more about winning it than they do about the principles. I'm not talking about sometimes the candidates, but the people behind.
Yes.
They're more interested in a win for their record than
Correct
they
me
are.
if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But if a certain politician gets in, all his friends celebrate. Right? I mean, they figure, hey, this is what's in it for me.
Yes. Yeah. So that's not going to be the case with me. I mean, I'm in it for the people. This will be a win for the voters. And I hope that, I don't, I hope they see
Yes,
it that way.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I was discussing this before the show. And if anyone who's watching this is wondering, hey, wait a minute, why don't we have a guy with a blue hat on the other side? I'll let you know that I will be willing to interview anyone who would like to come on the show running for any type of office on the Democrat side. I have no fear to debate. I will debate anything they would like to discuss, as long as we keep it, within the confines of decorum, and all will be well. The fairness thing, all that, I'm okay with that. I have no problems. I will interview any person that wants to run for office here in the Valley or anywhere, actually, that is not in my political persuasion. I have no qualms about that whatsoever. So please know that if you believe that this is unfair because I'm only interviewing one side, then it was actually only one side that reached out. So anytime, any Thursday when we do the show, I will be more than happy to speak with someone of the other political persuasion. One thing I would like to ask, and if you don't want to comment, I understand because you're in a race right now. Do you have any concerns over either locally, nationally, voter security, election security, to protect us from fraud, to all that kind of stuff?
Well, yes. I mean, that's, again, when you can't get the SAVE Act passed, that's telling you people want to cheat.
That's absolutely saying that. There's no other way to interpret that. Barry's asking Paxton or Cornyn in primary.
Paxton. That's an easy one.
There we go, Barry. We got a good one here. We got a good one. I believe Cornyn to be the swamp.
He's the swamp.
I really do.
I believe he's a Democrat that
could very well be.
Yeah, that was in a Republican area and saw that that's the way in. But he's
could very well be.
Oh, the red flag laws. I mean, just no.
Yeah, and I don't know Paxton very much, but I do know
he has
shown. Oh, you do?
Yes.
He has shown, and maybe you can enlighten us about this.
Yeah.
He put the kibosh, if you will, on I want to say it was a 20,000 person Muslim community in Texas. Now, I have nothing against human beings that have decided that they were going to be of the Muslim persuasion, the Muslim religion. That's fine. Everyone is free to choose as they will. However, here in America, we are not about enclaves, especially if they will undermine the laws of the land, which is what the laws of that certain religion do. So I can say that Ken Paxton has legitimately acted in a way that is consistent with the things that work for Texas, okay, and not against Texas. It's easy to go with the flow, and we distribute all kinds of different ideas and so forth that work against the state that we supposedly represent. But he made a very overt action for the strengthening and security of Texas, in my opinion. So I can say that I do believe that Ken Paxton has acted as a patriot.
That's who he is, and he's a Trump supporter. He's against the swamp, and so again, I do a lot of block walking, and what you just talked about, like these enclaves, it is a concern for people, and I suppose like the Islam religion, there's many probably pretty good people in it.
Sure.
But then there's factions of it that want to, destroy Christianity, and so that's a real issue. And these like Sharia law, I'm totally against Sharia law.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have our laws here. They're based on our system of government, and so that's a problem for people out there. And so yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Ken Paxton did that, and we these are things that have made America great, and that's we had immigration into this country. People wanted to be here and to fit into the American way, and I think recently we've seen where people are coming here, but they don't want to fit into the American system.
We know why they're here. And again, this is me. They were here because at some point or another, so many insurgents came into our country. So many people were in positions of authority and power that we just invited them in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they were going to assimilate. It was because they were designed to replace you and me.
Yes. I think it was a political decision, and I really blame this. He was the one that started it.
Yes.
And it was like, if we can bring all these people in, we're going to keep power because these people are going to vote for us. And so it was a political decision. It wasn't based on what's good for the country. Immigration in our country should be based on what's good for our country.
Absolutely.
And so I'm strongly for legal immigration. And it doesn't mean that we can't tune things here and there to make it work better.
Right.
But it needs to be legal. And so, yeah, so I think that all goes into it. We want people here that want to be part of this country, accept our values. So, yeah, and that's one of the things we saw in Minnesota, where you have people that are just brought in for political reasons, and then you see where they're ripping off the system.
Absolutely.
And I'm for Dojing, Texas. I mean,
awesome.
I know Don Huffines.
Oh, okay.
Yes, personally, I just he invited me to a party at the convention, and so he will doge Texas, and he needs people, good, real Republicans up there to support him, because there are going to be people that will be against that.
Right.
But I know we have it here too, and so there again is like wasting of the taxpayers' money, which is our money, yours and
Right.
mine.
Right.
And so,
I feel the same way.
yes, so we there are many things that can be done, and I think this all leads to affordability. One of the things that I have been endorsed by TLR. Longly, they've done a lot of great Texas lawsuit reform.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And right now there's a huge industry on going after these 18
right.
And then
it's all over the highways on the billboards.
Yes, yeah, it's and they're scared of it, so they settle. They raise the insurance on the trucking companies. Right,
lose.
Right, and so companies go out of business. The ones that don't have to raise their rates, and then who ends up paying for it? You and I. And so I am so happy to work with them. I will definitely end frivolous lawsuits. I mean, there are lawsuits that are warranted, but there are also ones that are scams, and it should be stopped. So yeah, so anything I can do to help people in the state, that's one of them. And there's, I think, like medical costs, people need to sit down with the hospitals, the insurance companies, and find a better way forward. And that's where I relate back to MAGA and Donald Trump, fixing issues for the people, for the voters, and your constituents. That's what we need to do as politicians.
Based on we've discussed, and I have, with pleasure, set aside some of the things I normally do on the show to enjoy this great conversation we're having. But what I would like to do is possibly, and I don't know your stance on this. We haven't spoken. We just met tonight, everybody. I don't know your stance on Bitcoin, blockchain, all that. What I can tell you, if you don't know, is that blockchain is a technology, if used properly and open sourced. It must be open sourced. It can't be like you or I write the program and then we're the only ones who have the backdoor to it. No, it's got to be open sourced, right? So Bitcoin is actually decentralized, meaning there's no boss, there's no government, all that. It's just a bunch of people watching it to make sure it stays fair. I would love to see, and I'm not the only one, I would love to see public coffers on blockchain, because blockchain is immutable and transparent, meaning nobody can change it and nobody can hide anything, because every transaction is there. You have an account, let's say the education account for a town or a state. Boom, there's the money that's allotted from the public to that agency or department, right? There it is, there's the wallet. Then you see all of the transactions, only a couple should go in, right? Only the ones that are approved from the taxpayers to that go there. Then you get to see and watch, everyone that has a computer can watch all the transactions outgoing. Where do they go? And you look it up. That to me would be transparency. That to me would hold accountable the people who are in charge of that department, that agency, or whatever it might be. What do you think about that?
That may be abstract for people to understand. I understand about blockchains, and I did at one point mine Ethereum.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was kind of sad.
When it was profitable.
Yeah, that's right. And I was sad when they stopped that.
Right.
It was a lot of fun to buy some GPUs. And,
sure.
And now those same things are being used for AI, and really, what that transparency should be there just with the regular spending. And
we would hope.
Yes, but it's not there because it's not made readily available, and so it should be.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I like about Don Huffines. He will actually do things that will expose things and show us where the money's spent. And
right.
Of course, up there in Austin, there's probably a lot of people that don't want that to happen.
I agree. Now, Austin is a big, I guess you could say, crypto area.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle
Yeah.
that see the opportunity of where we're going. I don't believe it to be the future. I believe it's now. So and I'm glad to hear that you understand that. Sometimes people look at hair like mine and maybe yours, if it's under the cap, it's gray, and they see, wait a minute, these people aren't going to know what's going on. But I saw right away the potential for especially Bitcoin as a decentralized asset. So I'm glad to hear that you would at least think of something like that. But I do understand that it is abstract. And on this
for
show,
a lot of people,
yeah, on this show we have spoken about the Overton window. A lot of people don't, because I'm old, okay, all right, I'm old, but I understand things.
We're
like
wise.
Yes, thank you
Mature.
very much. Thank you. So I understand the Overton window, and if anyone's watching this younger and you don't see exactly what or understand what the Overton window is, it's something that is outside of the political norm, outside of what people can easily grasp and understand. So a blockchain type of accountability system would be awesome, but you have to try and explain that now. So any politician that would come in and want to run for an office, if they're running outside of this Overton window, their chances have been decreased. Okay, there we go. I guess that's my best way to relate that.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. And then you get people manipulating the system for their own, purposes, and that's part of the problem. So yeah, but I love Bitcoin in the sense that it's like the ultimate hedge against inflation, and it's
Amen,
also
brother.
very portable, right? So it's funny how these countries try and ban it,
Yes.
but it makes it more desirable.
Yes.
Uh,
It is. Don't mean to interrupt, but it is very desirable.
Yeah.
And there are my favorite is Michael Saylor. Guy's an MIT genius. I don't know that he's in Mensa or whatever, but he's a genius, and he won't stop buying Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, like especially in foreign countries, if somebody has to leave in a hurry, they have it in their little hard wallet,
That's it.
and they can take their wealth with them. So it's beautiful, and again,
Freedom.
It's it is, and it is a truly finite item. So unlike paper money, which they can keep printing, you don't really know what the value is. Bitcoin is limited. So yeah, I mean it is one of the best coins out there. But yeah, the blockchain's kind of cool because you can do other things with it. So I see where they're trying to do with property and other things, and it's transparent. So yeah, it's in its infancy, but I do like, I am supportive of.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And if you were to say, okay, you've spoken and you've shared a couple things with us today, and thank you about the conservatism of expenses, taxes, things like that. What is something else that you think you can bring to the average person here in the Valley that would either make it more conservative, more like the past when things were, how would you say, more accountable, or anything that you think would say, and I don't want to be one of those people who says, hey, we're going to vote for this guy because he'll give us this. No, that's not what a republic is about. Maybe a democracy, maybe that's what it is, but we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't.
And they're trying to change that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With this, you can educate me on this. How close are they to getting to? There's no former. Spanberg in Virginia exclude the electoral votes.
Yeah.
How is that going?
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean,
of course,
yeah,
that's unconstitutional,
they're and this is coming from the left, and like you said, a lot of them are communists.
Absolutely.
And they want to destroy, what this great, republic of ours. And so, that's we need to stop that. We need to fight it, expose it for what it is, and so, I think that they're trying to promote it. I think sometimes in our colleges, in our schools, and I think people are waking up to it. And seeing a big, um, the, the government proposed I guess people call it school vouchers. It was oversubscribed. And
Wow.
yeah. And so they're probably going to have to broaden it. Uh, and the charter schools are doing well.
That is great. That is
Yeah.
that is literally, my opinion,
Yeah.
decentralization of education.
Yes.
Okay. Anything centralized is more prone to fraud
Yes.
and
It's
abuse.
competition is a good thing. It's the American way. And so I'm glad we have an education. The best system's going to win out. So that's wonderful. But the main thing I think, when I see it on the campaign trail, I have a wonderful campaign team of volunteers, and they're very Christian, and a lot of praying and uh, the peace and love of God in their lives.
Amen.
And so
We need more.
we need more. That's what I think the nanny state is trying to move us away from that.
Absolutely.
And we're fighting back. And I'm so blessed to have such a wonderful Christian campaign team. We have a great time, even though it's not easy. Campaigns are not easy. I pray a lot to God. That's where I find my sustenance in this campaign when
Awesome.
things are tough.
I'll tell you what, you may or may not be surprised. And Barry says homeschool if you can. I agree with you, Barry. I agree with you. And hopefully our economy will improve to the point where we can have more families homeschooling.
I'm totally for homeschooling.
Yeah.
Again, that's another thing. Anything we can do to
they
help
would receive a voucher, correct?
Yes, I believe so. And that's I did talk to the homeschooling, I did. They actually have a pack, and I was so for it. I was like, well, I don't know if they're going to endorse me, because it's like, well, Gary's so for us, why bother? But yeah, again, competition, and I love it. I mean, again, I block walking. I ran into a young woman who's going to university, and she told me how the professors are promoting communism right over here.
Sir. Absolutely.
And she's an outcast because she's a Christian conservative, and that's just terrible.
I've said this on the show before, and I'm not the only one that thinks this way. In fact, I subscribe to a guy's email service, and he coined the phrase. His phrase is Saint Joseph of Wisconsin, and who he's referring to is the late great Joseph McCarthy. He was right, sir. There were and are many communists in our government, and when I started to realize that, it was when, wow, McCarthyism is a byword. It's an insult that's bandied about and everywhere, from Washington to education circles and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, he was right. There are communists on us.
Well, look at Brennan.
Oh,
Right?
oh man!
How could he be at the CIA?
The 51 creditable intelligence sources.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like you see about Comey, and Comey should be in jail because of
He was indicted. We haven't mentioned that at this show. Comey was indicted. So all you people out there who yell, arrest him, and I've been countering their yells and screams for arrest. Why? Because who's going to convict them? We don't have good judges anymore.
Yeah. But like what he did, lying to the FISA courts, that whole thing about, I mean, just think of all the wonderful things Trump could have done had he not been under that investigation.
Beleaguered.
Yes.
Attacked.
Yes. And so, so I it's, we do have to be careful. I mean, communism's out there, but again, one thing I do see, being out there blocking, we have a lot of great Christians, conservatives here in this area.
More than anyone knows, and more than the usual suspects want us to know.
Yeah, and I would say to people, be proud of it. Just like I'm proud of wearing this hat. We, like I said, we're not the silent majority anymore. We are the majority.
Right.
And I'm running, with this. That's like, I'm pushing this movement forward. We have a lot to be proud of. We're great Americans.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to be, tolerating the nanny state. And, I try and be nice to everybody. But, sometimes you have to call people out.
We have to be
yes,
firm.
yes,
We
yes.
have
Like
to
we said
stand
earlier.
firm, be
Yes.
fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Allow ourselves as well as everyone else to be held accountable,
Yeah.
right? Because we all need to be accountable on some level, because we
Yes.
will be in the end, right?
Yeah.
We have
That's
we
right.
have that
That's
that
right.
one place that we're going to
Yeah.
visit last, right?
Yeah. Yes.
After this gig here
Yeah.
on Earth.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor of interviewing Mr. Gary Groves tonight. Bob, I just saw you pop in. If you have any questions for Mr. Groves, I would continue this as long as possible, but you, sir, you have an event to go
That's
to.
true.
Barry says a Fauci cohort got indicted also for the scamdemic. What do you know his name, Barry? So apparently, and I do believe that at some point, every one of these, I don't know, incels, whatever you want to call them, they will be held accountable.
Well,
but
I think we're all hoping that, right?
I just don't know how it's going to be done with the current judicial system we have, and it's been worked on by, like we said, communists for generations.
Yeah.
And education has a lot to do with that, because what level kids don't even know cursive writing anymore.
Well, that's where we see like with about Paxson, what he's doing. That's why we celebrate it. And so, yes, I know it's one of the frustrations, people on our side have. We want people accountable who have broken the laws, who have done bad things to this country. We want them held accountable. And so,
Absolutely.
yes, and that's like as a public servant, I will do that where I can. So
thank you. And,
yes,
and I
yes.
just know how I would answer this. And this is not a gotcha question, because if you don't want to answer it in a certain way, I'll go all in on it.
Yeah.
What would you say to the person who said, well, Trump was convicted. Trump has 53 convictions, or whatever number they pull out, right? He's a convicted this, he's a convicted that, he does this, he does that. What would you say to that?
So those are scam convictions. And when we talk about the
Thank
judicial system being a mess,
Mhm.
that's it. And then you find out that these people who are doing it were actually committing lots of crimes themselves. And
Fannie Willis?
yeah, exactly. And this goes into the Dojing, what Elon Musk
Absolutely.
exposed all this corruption. I mean, how does AOC become a millionaire off of a
Elon
public?
Omar?
Yeah, same thing. And too many of them, and too many in the judicial system. And but there's still good people there.
Amen,
and so
brother. There are.
yes,
And there are fellow patriots out there like
and
you
we
and I.
want more good people in office. And I would just say to the people out there, pay attention, do your homework, because there are people trying to fool you. Do your homework and go for the good people, and it will help our country, and it will help you. And so I also like, I want to thank you for having me on the show.
It's an honor, sir.
Yes, yeah, and God bless all of you, and that if you do go out and vote for me, I'll make you proud, and I'm here to serve you. And I'm always telling everybody, because I go out and block walk just about every day, I will have an open door. I'm here to serve you. I find people share their concerns with me, but they also give me solutions. And that goes back to like we were saying about a Christian community. It's about us as in helping.
And I will submit this: it's not just about the people we elect. It's us. Are we engaged?
Yes.
Are we? I know we're paying attention, because if you wouldn't be if you weren't. I know you're paying attention because you're watching the show. Put it that way. But we need to be engaged.
Yes.
As citizens.
Yes.
At the most basic level, and in my opinion, the best level, because we are where it gets felt.
Yes.
Where the decisions get made are not necessarily where the repercussions are felt.
Yeah.
So, could you please repeat the date of the runoff?
The runoff is May 18th to the 22nd, and then election day is May 26th. And I encourage people to early vote, because the lines get longer as you wait, and then sometimes it's hard to get in to vote.
Yeah.
So.
And since you're probably not a Democrat, you can't vote more than once. Just so you know. That was me.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Groves is not in on that one. That was impromptu, and that was me. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so I've enjoyed being with the
Awesome.
show with you guys, and thank you to the audience. God bless you guys, and always try and elect people who want to serve you.
Well said, sir. Well said. Thank you. And for all of you out there, thank you very much for watching the show. Thank you for participating. Barry says thank you, Gary. And if you feel that we would be better served by a man like Gary Groves, and I can definitely say I do. I feel that way. And I don't just feel it in the way that some people say they feel it. I have logically gone through things. I have thought them out, parsed them out. And I do truly believe that Mr. Gary Groves would be worthy of our vote. But that's up to you. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell anyone how to vote or do anything else for that matter. Thank you for watching, for being with myself and Mr. Gary Groves. Thank you. God bless you, please. And again, God bless America. Bitcoin Otter and Mr. Gary Groves, we're out. Have a great week.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show
Oh my God, I love you so much.
on